So this is my presentation on JUnit testing, and basically what a JUnit is, it's a built-in test that allows you to test your methods against an input that you give it, and then you also give it the expected output, and depending on whether your program returns that expected output, it either passes or fails you, or fails the test, I guess. And so this is my main tests that I'm going to be, or I guess the methods that are going to be tested in general. The first one is going to take an integer and square it. And the second one is going to take a string and count how many letter A or capital A is. I just put this in here in case somebody puts a capital A, sometimes if it's cap lock or something. And so it goes through the word. It starts at the first letter, and then this is to make sure that it stops at the last letter, so it just doesn't keep counting, and then it checks each sequential character after that in the string, and then it returns it. And so to create a JUnit test, we come up here to File and New, and they'll be under here. I'll click on it just to show what it kind of looks like. Here you'll give it a name, and once you create it, you'll have the opportunity to add what you want to test against. These two imports here will be included when you create a JUnit file, because we'll talk about the assert and the test as we get into it. But these are the two important things to have when creating a JUnit test. And so in this test, we're going to test the squaring function of my JUnit class, which was just taking that integer and squaring it. And so here's the test here. This is what it's linking to that JUnit testing. And then we created a new object. And then we're going to add an integer of output. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test our method, our square method, against a number that we're adding. In this case, I am doing 10. And the assert equals, we talked about the assert up here. The assert equals is basically just telling the test what you expect to come out when you test this program. And so since we're giving it 10, we expect 100 to come out as the output. Does that make sense so far? Didn't lose anybody?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Muted.
So I'll go ahead and press play, or run, I guess. It looks like a play button. And we can see that it passed, and so we know we're getting the right thing. If for some reason I was to change it to 5 or 4 and then run it, you could see that it fails. Okay, I'll change this back to 10. I created another JUnit test to test the count function that we were talking about in our JUnit, where we're going to take a string and count the letter A's. I wanted to find a word that have a lot of A's, and so I came up with banana, but I wanted to add 2 more A's, and so Bananarama is the string that it's going to be testing against. Since there are 5 A's in Bananarama, we expect 5 to be the output, and when we run this test, it passes, and so we know that our code in our normal, or in our original JUnit testing is good. Something that I think is important to show when creating JUnit tests is that if you have a lot of JUnit tests and you need to run them each individually, there's something called a JUnit suite. If we come into File here, go into New, go into Other, it's under the Java folder in the JUnit class. Here's the JUnit test suite. If we select it, what it does is it takes all of our JUnit tests and puts them into one file so that we can run all of our JUnit tests at the same time. And that's what I've done here. So you can see it has our count test as well as our square test. And if we run those, it's good. And if for some reason one of these didn't work, it would fail, but we could see that one of them failed, and I believe it would actually tell you which one failed here. So it's a really useful feature of JUnit testing that's important if you're testing a lot of methods in your original function here. So, and I think that's it. Any questions?
No.
Anything to
Can
add?
you show us one of them fail?
I'm sorry? Oh,
Can you show us one of them fail?
yeah. And so this one, let's put it at 7 because there's not 7 A's. Okay, that one individually failed. Let's go to our test suite and run it. So we have it ran 2, and right here I can see that this test count is the one that failed because it has the X on it, and my square test was the one that passed. So 1 failure out of the 2 runs, and I know it's the count one. So again, if you have lots of JUnit tests, it's really useful. You can run them all at once and see which ones are failing, and then go back to the original class here and fix it. So is that good?
Ah, good job.
Okay, thank you.